I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. There's just a lot in this movie I do not like. After seeing the fate of the original Power Rangers, we cut to a scene of two young men stealing a cow after one of them gave said cow a handjob. No, I'm not joking. This movie begins with a young high school man talking about jerking off a cow.
Cal seems unhappy, huh?
Well, it shouldn't be unhappy because I just milked their...
Him. You just milked him.
This is a hit.
Was it one udder?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an udder, dude.
I was gonna say it was actually kind of weird. It was really big and I had to use two hands.
I'd say let this set the tone of the film, but that would be lying. In fact, the real tone setter is this title sequence. 3 words come to mind: bleak, drab, and boring. That really describes this movie in a lot of ways. Looking at this makes me realize just how forgotten the art of the title sequence has become. The last movie I remember watching that actually had a good title sequence was... Star Wars? So yes, one of these kids is Jason Scott, the Red Ranger. He's kind of an asshole. What's worse is there's literally no reason ever given for why he acts the way he does. This guy had his whole life set out for him with a full football scholarship.
This was supposed to be your season. I had scouts coming to every game. You could have written your own ticket. Now it's all gone.
And he decides to do something this incredibly stupid? We're talking about stealing a cow, running from the cops in a truck, damaging his leg, guaranteeing he'll never play football professionally ever again. Now I know what you're going to say. He's young. Young people do stupid things. Fair enough. However, I'd like to make the argument that I, having come from a small sports town, have met guys like this. Every sports player ever knows that your reputation and your physical health are the 2 most important things in the world. Knowing that, I can't feasibly see this guy doing the things that he does.
You gonna stop? Did you just slap me? Did you just...
First impressions tend to be the most important, and based on our first interaction with Jason, he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who would stand up for a kid being bullied. There's a core element from original Power Rangers that's strangely missing from this movie. Here are the characters and here are their 90s counterparts. I'm going to list off a few things: traits, likes, and personalities. Now, as I said, there's one thing that's missing in this movie that was ever present in the original show. Tell me if you can spot what's missing. 90s Jason. Teaches martial arts. Likes martial arts. Jason 2017. Plays football. Likes football? 90s Billy. Loves the science. Is incredibly smart. Likes martial arts, but isn't very good at it. Billy 2017. Loves geology. Loves country music.
No, matter of fact, I love country music.
90s Zach. Loves hip-hop. He's kind of a joker. Invented his own martial art. Zach 2017. Loves his dying mother? Is a crazy asshole that nobody likes? 90s Kimberly. Loves gymnastics. Does gymnastics. Also likes and does martial arts. Kimberly 2017. Punched Ty Fleming in the face? Whoever that is? 90s Trini. Likes yoga. Teaches yoga. Also does martial arts. Trini 2017. Likes death metal. Likes girls. Did you notice it? Did you notice the extreme lack of martial arts? No one in this movie knows any kind of hand-to-hand combat. If Jason did martial arts, then I could see him being protective of others. Most martial arts teach not just sick karate moves, but also a code of ethics. This would have immediately established his character as having a kind heart. Instead, he kinda comes across as a douchebag. So Jason is in detention, which is fair, but he's also joined by Billy and Kimberly Hart.
I got your text and I was like, where are they?
We're moving on. Without you.
Cutting you out. Literally. You can show up for cheer practice if you want, but I wouldn't.
That seems a bit psycho-ish. I mean, don't get me wrong, high school girls are horrible people, but something about this feels a bit... Especially when they stab her picture into the wall. With the right lawyer, I'm pretty sure you could charge those two with threats of violence. Goddamn kids cutting their hair in the bathrooms at school. Back in my day, we used to go down the barber shop and pay the man to give us a trim. Oh, damn, girl, she cut her hair. Now she's just as attractive as before? So one thing that I have a problem with Jason in particular is the relationship between him and his father. He and his dad have this sort of rivalry going on. They're constantly at each other's throats, and it's implied that Jason is kind of a problem child.
This one I think you've done the dumbest thing you could possibly do. You find something even dumber and you do it.
The problem, though, is that they never show us why these two fight. They don't show us why Jason is throwing his football career away. This won't be the last time I say this, but this is literally just confrontation for the sake of confrontation. There's no real drama here. There's no source, no cause. It's also weird to me that everyone seems to know who Jason Scott is.
Oh my god, is that Jason Scott?
Oh my god, Jason Scott.
I get it, he's popular in a small town, but it feels like he's some sort of celebrity. I lived in a small sports-oriented town, and I couldn't tell you a single name of any of the high school football players. To me, this level of celebrity should only be prevalent during college years. But who knows, I sure as fuck don't know anything about sports. I'm just going off of what I've seen and heard, and based on that, no one gives a fuck about high school football players. College is where it's at. Oh boy. I fucking hate the location. Like, why? Why did they take Angel Grove, which is literally just San Diego or San Francisco, and turn it into a tiny-ass, dreary-looking fishing port town? It's like they intentionally looked at the original show and went, let's make the setting the complete opposite. That's what the fans want, right? However, I do have a theory on this. I believe the reason they changed Angel Grove from the big bustling sun-soaked city that it is to a tiny fishing inlet is because of a certain movie's portrayal of citywide destruction. A movie that came out many years before this one. One that is still talked about to this day. Yes, I am speaking about Man of Steel. Say what you want about Man of Steel. Whether you liked it or not is not important right now. What is important is its portrayal of alien super beings fighting amongst themselves. One of the major criticisms of that movie, both when it came out and still to this very day, is the level of destruction caused by Superman and Zod's battle. People were, and still are, kinda pissed. A lot of people walked out of that movie saying, wow, Superman really fucked up Metropolis. And that hurt the movie's image in a way. It made people look at Superman differently. So, I'm willing to bet that in order to save face, they had to change the location of Angel Grove from this to this. That is just a theory. I don't have any actual proof that's what they were thinking, but it doesn't feel right. Power Rangers is about colorful costume heroes who eventually battle giant monsters in a giant robot. Big ass buildings being destroyed is just a part of the genre. Let's take a look at another remake of a nostalgic franchise that came out not too recently that also happens to have Bryan Cranston in it. Legendary Pictures' Godzilla. While not a perfect movie, I do highly enjoy it. It's pretty good. Why? Because it doesn't fight its genre. A Godzilla movie where Big G doesn't fuck up the town feels wrong, and they knew that while making it. So having the Power Rangers not fight in a big city just feels wrong. I'm not saying they haven't fought in barren locations before, but let's be honest. A majority of the time, they fight in a big city, and a majority of the time, Angel Grove gets a wee bit broken. So now is when we get introduced to the rest of the Rangers, Zack and Trini. I have no fucking clue what is going on with Zack. Like, is he homeless? No, he lives in a trailer park with his mom, so what is he doing here looking like he's train hopping? Does he work at the gold mine? They never say. Apparently a lot of the Black Ranger's backstory was cut for time, which ultimately hurts the character because as it stands, he's the worst. Not to say his acting is bad, Ludi Lin is passable, rather the character is just the worst. Much like Jason, he's kind of an asshole. Even the other characters know he's an unlikable asshole. Fuck, they decide to leave him behind when they all get caught trespassing at the gold mine.
What about the other guy?
One thing I don't quite get is why Billy is at the gold mine in the first place. I think the idea was supposed to be that his dad was digging in this spot, but never got as deep as he wanted to before dying. And so Billy is picking up where his father left off, but it's not very clear. The character mumbles to himself a lot, so perhaps the reasoning is somewhere within the mumbling.
Oh no.
Well, she's fucking dead. So they all get their power coins after Billy blows himself up, and soon after they flee from the gold mine. This is where the movie starts to take a serious dive downwards. The bad comes at you so hard and fast, it's almost like a train. There's a joke about autistic kids playing with trains somewhere in here. The real question is, should I make one or not? Nah. Okay. So here's where the problems start and the migraines begin. How the fuck did they get home? No, really, how did they get home? All of them are alive, and besides the scratches and burn marks on their clothes, they are completely unscathed. There is zero explanation as to how they got home unscathed after being hit by a fucking train. Were they somehow implying the power coins did this? If so, that was poorly handled. And why did he take a fighting stance? Is that to imply that he somehow knows kung fu? And this leads to another problem. Their superhuman strength. A lot of the magic that makes Power Rangers great is drastically undermined when you make their costumes literally just armor. The transformation from teenager with attitude to protector of Angel Grove loses much of its splendor when you make them already powerful without having to transform. Now it just feels like they're putting on silly uniforms. So let's talk about the jumping scene. This whole thing takes way too long. This feels like an abuse of slow motion, not for the sake of showing something off, but rather to pad the runtime, which is saying something considering this movie is nearly 2 hours long. And if Trini was so eager to get away from these four, eager enough to jump this canyon, then why does she stick around for the rest to jump after her? Again, confrontation for the sake of confrontation. This is also where I have to question just how vulnerable the Rangers are to damage. They got hit by a train, and they're fine. They touched that piping hot metal lunch tray, and they're fine. Billy could withstand someone trying to break his wrist and a headbutt as if it were nothing. But landing face first onto the ground causes Jason to spit up a comically large amount of blood. That's like what you would see in something like The Raid, where the characters are getting the ever-loving shit beaten out of them. Anyway, Billy dies.
Yes!
Billy, right? Yeah.
Nah, I'm just kidding. But man, it's a good thing you all fell in precisely the right spot. Otherwise, you would have smashed your head against the rocks and probably killed yourself for real. This may be nitpicking. I don't think it is, but why do they glow in water? This isn't the first time it happens either. When the train hits them, it starts to rain, and from within the car, you can see light. Lights matching each of their ranger colors. So why do they glow when they get wet? Is this to sell awesome water glowing action figures? In stores now! Now, I can fully admit this is most likely nitpicking, but why does the water float? Did they do it just because it looked cool? I can accept that as an answer, especially when it comes to Power Rangers. Power Rangers works best when it follows the rule of cool.
I need Dragon Sword power.
But it just seems like this movie's wasting time at this point. We're already 45 minutes into the movie, and at this point, nothing has happened.